Now, I also have two of the Masters Games competitors in the studio this morning. Joining us from the Islanders basketball team, Tracy Duggan and Wendy Steele. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Andy.
So which was tougher, competing in the Masters Games or sitting here doing a radio interview while your kids are making faces at you through the glass into the studio? They're doing their very best to put you off this morning.
Yeah, it was pretty tough. The competition was pretty, well, far more than we thought it would be, actually.
Yeah.
So we entered the Premier Division, which means that most teams that enter that have to have had a National League experience.
Yep.
Or they've played in the Olympics at some stage of their life, so...
How many of your players had played in the WNBL and that sort of thing?
We probably have about 5 that have played ABA or National League level in the past.
So 5 out. How many are on the squad that you took across?
We had a team of 10.
Yep.
7 of those were Tasmanians. We had to get a couple of ring-ins from Sydney. A couple of big girls. We are fairly short.
Can I ask you about that? Tasmanian basketball teams traditionally haven't got a lot of height. How do you compete against the international competitors?
Well, our last game against Lithuania, the gold medal match, their shortest player was about 5'10", and the rest were like...
Which is about my height,
Yeah. We're about 6'2", 6'3", and upwards, and they were very, very physical girls.
And big girls as well. Lithuanian players tend to be tall, but big, but not tall and skinny, tall and stocky as well.
And very mean.
And very mobile. They were very mobile as well. We thought, we'll be able to run the ball against them, wear them out. Yeah, well, that kind of didn't work.
Really?
But it was physical. It was just bashing bodies. That's basically how we got through.
How did you react, though? Because you wouldn't have been expecting that in the final necessarily to be that physical.
Well,
does it shock you as a team? Does it take you a couple of minutes?
We played them twice before we got into the gold medal game.
Right.
So we had a little bit of a warning beforehand, but it was just virtually, they were bashing us around, so we just had to do the same back, and the umpires were sort of, letting it all go, which
we're
not used to that sort of play. One little touch and it's a foul, whereas you were kicked in the back, slapped on the back of the head, and no fouls.
No fouls at all. Who was umpiring? Did they have? Were they Australian umpires, or does every country have to supply an umpire like they do in world games and stuff?
Every country.
So who were the umpires in the gold medal?
We were a bit disappointed. We had fantastic umpires all the way through the tournament.
Yeah.
The two in the final virtually said we're not going to call anything. So it was like, okay, so we can just go for it, and they went, because we're not going to call it, and they didn't, so
we like it physical.
So you come out of it with a silver medal and a bunch of bruises.
I think everyone's got bruises on their elbows and all over their body.
God.
But, and the evil eyes. They're quite amazing to play against the Europeans. They're very physical and they're very happy to, put a body on you. But if you retaliate the same way, you give as good as what you get. The looks come out and they, you can't understand what they're saying, which is a bit disappointing. But
well, you can probably get the picture from the way they're looking at you. You're speaking to Tracy Duggan and Wendy Steele this morning from the Islanders in the Masters Games. Oh, battered and bruised after the game against Lithuania. So who did you play to make it into that game?
We had originally 2 teams pulled out just at the start. Hungary moved down a division, went down to B grade, and we think the Dynamos, which were from Russia, also pulled out. So we ended up having a round-robin competition between Estonia, the Lithuanians, a Sydney-based team, and ourselves. So we virtually played a round-robin competition. But after the first game, the Estonia girls didn't want to play us anymore because they considered us too physical.
Oh, really? I would have thought the Estonian girls would have been physical as well.
They were.
Oh, gee, it sounds tough. Sounds really tough there. Was it fun, though? Did you enjoy it?
It was great fun. We had a really good time. The girls from Sydney that we played with, they were fantastic. And it was so nice to have 3 tall people to pass the ball into, whereas down here we've only ever had 1. So that was that was a really good experience. But overall, it was fantastic. The competition was really good, and we didn't get to see too many other games because it's pretty spread out. And we were playing at 3 different stadiums.
How does that work, that you play at 3 different stadiums? It always seems, like basketball court, they're always the same dimensions and the rings at the same height, but it does change between stadiums. They've all got a different feel. Yeah,
the stadiums were all different, and most of the stadiums we're used to are dark and dingy. But they were really light and airy, and there was 4 or 5 stadiums in one hit, so but it didn't make that much of a difference. The only problem was we had to travel 1 to 2 hours to get to get there and fight the traffic. When you're from Hobart, you're not really used to that.
No.
So that kind of threw us out to start with, but...
so last thing you want to do, though, before a game, you get all psyched up for it and then just sit on a bus for 2 hours.
Yeah, and we were all a bit... sore and tired by the end of the thing. We're getting out of the bus. We look like we're 100 years old, but we're actually in the 45 plus, actually. 40, sorry.
In the 40 plus, yeah. Did you stay around for the closing ceremony?
Yes.
Was it good? Because we've heard about, lines and things on the way in. Everybody had to line up for passes and that sort of stuff.
The registration was disappointing. You had to line up between 3 and 5 hours to get accredited. They had 35 booths and 3 printers. So we gave up on that and came back later. The opening ceremony was probably a lot better than the closing. There was lines to get to the closing, and drinks were very expensive.
Were they?
Obviously didn't want you to get merry.
What?
At the closing
all of
ceremony.
That? Yeah. Couldn't they... I would have thought there'd be free drinks for competitors.
We would have thought so too.
Flash some sort of card. Flash a medal. If you've got a medal...
It's the gold medal cordial at $4 a can.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we weren't impressed with the drink prices.
No, that's terrible.
They had Jenny Morris, they had Dragon, and they had the choir boys play at the closing ceremony. That wasn't too bad. Dragon were fantastic.
Yeah.
And everybody sort of got into the party atmosphere and the mosh pit.
It was a mosh pit. Wasn't too wild, that mosh pit. I think everyone was a bit sore and tired up there.
There wasn't anybody calling fouls in the mosh pit.
No. Because you couldn't afford a drink, you couldn't really get over that.
Well, no, I reckon it would have ended up with less bruises for the mosh pit than on the court with the Lithuanian girls. Jeez. Oh, excellent though. You've done really well. The medals look fantastic. They're great.
They're very impressive. Yeah.
They're really good. So will you guys stay together as a team for the next one?
We'd like to go to Italy.
Yeah. Because
we might have to move up an age group.
We will.
We were speaking to the Royals about Italy. Of course, it's going to be much more expensive to get across. Do you have to get corporate sponsorship and stuff like that for going over to Masters Games?
We didn't this time, but I think if we did seriously decide to go to Italy next in 2013, we probably would.
Yeah, right.
But we were when we played the Lithuanians the first time, we thought, they've obviously had national selections for their team. They look very professional. And you normally hand over little tokens. We got a little pamphlet on their achievements. Oh, because you meant to give, a little stuffed koala or something. And little, Tasmanian things, and we got a pamphlet on their experience.
This is how good we are. All right, so you need to develop this for next time for Italy.
We're going to do one of those.
We'll just have a one-page pamphlet.
We had about 4 pages. We had 312 years experience between our teams.
Which is good, 312 years for the whole team. That's not bad.
Yeah. And we've all played together for about 20 years since we were juniors in state teams and things. So.
Oh, good to be on the road and travelling.
Yep, it was fun.
And it's a good friendship thing to go away.
Excellent. Thank you for coming in and having a chat this morning. The kids have been very well behaved behind the glass, still making faces, pressing noses up against the glass in the studio. No, great to talk to you guys. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Joining us in the studio this morning, Tracy Duggan and Wendy Steele from the World Masters Games, coming back with the silver medal and a lot of bruises as well. 21 minutes.